It's been so fulfilling to see people in person again and convene and network, so I hope you all have enjoyed. We have one final amazing session for you planned in today's agenda. So first of all, I think I can make an assumption here that many of you are mobile money account owners and users. I'm also going to assume that some of you who do have mobile money accounts remember using them way back when for one singular use case, person-to-person transactions, or P2P as we've come to know it. Having started as a simple remittance instrument, largely moving money digitally between rural and urban areas, mobile money uptake and use has reached proportions that 10 years ago not many anticipated. This isn't only limited to East Africa, but the whole continent has seen a sharp rise in uptake due to the convenience that it offers and the challenges it addresses. Together, we have experienced the evolution of this industry. With each new use case, I have been amazed at the innovativeness of the industry and the ways in which the mobile money has permeated all corners of people's financial lives and a diverse user base. Today, there are over 1.35 billion mobile money accounts, and nearly half of these are in sub-Saharan Africa. With increasing users, more money is being converted to e-money. 10 years ago, for every dollar that was cashed in, 88 cents was cashed out. This figure has dropped by 24%, signaling a clear trend towards a more digitized financial ecosystem, fueled by mobile money. Now, for every dollar cashed in, only 67 cents is cashed out. Mobile money users are becoming increasingly digitized citizens. This session will focus on mobile money and its power in enabling access to countless products and services. This is the driving force behind the digitization of financial services in Africa today. It would perhaps be a stretch to say that we are still scratching the surface, but so many opportunities remain untapped, so many possible use cases that aren't yet fully leveraged by our sector and its ecosystem, whether it's private sector, government, NGOs, etc. It is our role to make it more accessible, more relevant, and push the frontier beyond domestic P2P payments in order to achieve genuine financial inclusion. So settle in for this session about unlocking opportunities with mobile money. It's my pleasure to introduce Michael Nzomo with FSD Africa. Nzomo has over 19 years' experience in the ICT industry spanning banking, telecommunications, cloud technology, and ICT for development in Africa and Asia. He is the manager of digital innovation with FSD Africa, a specialist development agency working to build and strengthen financial markets across sub-Saharan Africa. Welcome, Nzomo.
Thanks, Ashley, and good evening to everyone. And yes, as Ashley has correctly observed, is that 15 years ago, nobody could have a conversation around mobile money because it was non-existent, it was not an idea. But here we are today speaking about the idea whose time has come and which has done a lot for economies that we operate in and economies that we yet to operate in. So she's rightfully put it. My name is Nzomo Biduka Michael. I lead digital innovation at FSD Africa. I had conversations yesterday in the boot camp and people were asking me about who FSD Africa is. So FSD Africa, as she's rightfully put, is that we are an international development agency funded by the UK aid, that is FCDO, currently operating projects within more than 30 African countries. And our aim is to invest into financial instruments that are going to make it easy for the markets to operate and operate sustainably. That way we are looking at green finance, we're doing projects around climate change, we're doing projects around financial inclusion as been or as a subject. So mobile money is key to financial inclusion. It's known that mobile money has a better penetration more than the traditional banking services because one, of leveraging on the agency networks. The case, this can be disproportionately benefit women who, because of cultural norms, have found a gap where they've not been included previously. GSMA has done studies that have been able to show out the gap that is presently there. Traditionally, mobile money was about person-to-person payment, where you transfer money to your colleague, to a friend of yours. But over the last 15 years, we've been able to see new use cases around pay-as-you-go systems, where solar service providers in clean energy use the power of mobile money to be able to extend solar panels and other services, refrigerators, TV sets, and recently mobile devices, to people that leverage that platform to be able to access all these capabilities within mobile money. Beyond that is a new area that we've been able to find recently, which is the marketplace around carbon credits. And a few weeks ago, as FSD Africa, we started exploring around the blue economy, where farmers within the Kenyan coast can be able to use the power of mobile money to be able to earn carbon credits and earn livelihoods and an income from that. Beyond that is the power of mobile money within the humanitarian sector, where we've been able to use this and extended support in kind beyond the traditional, where people used to buy rice, used to buy maize flour, used to send beans to northern Kenya in populations that don't actually use those products as part of their food products. So which means that we are going to give autonomy to the end users. They're going to be more empowered. It gives dignity. It also gives possibility for them to be able to manage the fund that they get from out there in a much better way. But beyond that is the power that it also comes with building a credit profile, where we've seen use cases around savings products. In Kenya, I saw that they also launched an investment product where people can be able to now invest in the bond market and be able to earn an income and invest for the future of their children. So that is the power of mobile money. And when I look at all this, it points to use cases around the real economy, because it's no longer about financial inclusion, because financial inclusion has been done. Probably not to the extent that we require it to be done, but where we are speaking about use cases around the real economy, where people can be able to use the power of mobile money to be able to leverage on the value that it brings or unlocks. And to do that, I don't think that I'm an expert in the real economy or in those use cases, but thankfully, today I'm joined by eminent persons within this space, people that have been able to extract value within mobile money. They've been able to do business, and beyond that is impacting livelihoods. So join me in welcoming on stage Yvonne from Vodacom TZ. Yvonne. Again, Bindi from Grameen Foundation. Last but not least is Diana Babazi from B-Box. And yes, we've been saying that there's exclusion of women, but my panel is speaking a different story. It's men who are excluded from here. So let's hear the good stories that are coming from these great ladies. Thank you. Right, welcome aboard. We may start with a brief introduction about yourselves and the organizations that you present, and probably something brief about what mobile money is doing within those setups. We can start with Yvonne.
Thank you, Mr. Nzomo. Good evening, everybody. My name is Yvonne Bayona, Head of IoT and Digital Platform from Vodacom Tanzania. I'm responsible for rolling out emerging technologies in key sectors such as agriculture, health, education, and IoT solutions in enterprises. So in Vodacom Tanzania, actually, as a purpose-led organization, we drive the vision of transforming people's lives through technology, as well as connection for better future. And we strongly believe that there are challenges in agriculture sector that can be sorted using technology. And that is why we came up with a platform, a digital platform called MKulima, which enables multiple stakeholders to transact and communicate with smallholder farmers while providing them services, different agriculture services like digital loans, insurance, access to market, etc. And what we are doing currently here, we profile our farmers first, just to know who they are, and then we build up on top of that KYC and give them different services. The objective, again, is to increase their income, increase productivity, and resilience to climate changes. That is basically what we do.
Thanks, Yvonne. We can go to Diana.
Thank you. I am Diana Mbabazi. I am the Product Manager Integrations with BBox Africa. So at BBox, we are a super platform that transforms lives and unlocking potential by providing essential services to the people across African markets. So we have touched around 2.5 million people around Africa. We have footprint in Rwanda, Kenya, Nigeria, Togo, DRC, Burkina Faso, and recently we've added to our markets Mali, Senegal, Ghana, and Ivory Coast. Among the products that we give to our clients, actually we started as a solar company, so everyone knows us as a solar company, but we've scaled up the fact that we realized that our customers not only need access to clean energy, they need access to clean cooking. So we've added clean cooking as part of the products we're giving to our customers. We've added connectivity, basically giving out smartphones, e-mobility, cash loans, and so many other products. So we serve our clients as the need rises.
Thanks. Probably, Bindi, we can hear from you, and Grameen.
Okay, thanks, Michael. So my name is Bindi Javeri. I'm a financial services technical advisor with Grameen Foundation, and I work primarily in digital financial services and women's economic empowerment in sub-Saharan Africa. And I'm also the technical program director for our USAID Uthabiti project, which builds enabling financial services ecosystems for refugees in northern and southwestern Uganda. For Grameen, we are a global nonprofit that works across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. And so we work primarily, we establish and strengthen women and youth DFS Plus agent networks. So we say plus because these agent networks offer a 3-for-1 value proposition. So they provide financial services in last mile rural communities. They also extend non-financial services like digital financial literacy training, digital skills training, as well as gender-based violence information and referrals. And the third benefit is they earn income for the women and youth agents who we work with. We also digitize community-based savings groups and link them to formal financial services and other services. We also work with private sector financial institutions to develop financial products. And finally, we use impact investment funds and guarantee funds to de-risk financial services. So we work across a lot of things, and underpinning our work is our partnerships with private sector institutions like mobile network operators like Vodacom or MTN, and solar companies like BBox or NG.
Right, thanks. Hearing from Yvonne and the work that they're doing with Mkulima in Tanzania. I of course know that Mkulima is a previous grantee of the AgTech program within the GSMA. So from Yvonne, what has mobile money been able to do for your case in terms of ensuring that you can be able to scale up and reach out to more beneficiaries in Tanzania?
Thank you. First of all, we are grateful and we appreciate GSMA for enabling us going through this journey, because before that, we were not into this space of agriculture. So we truly appreciate. And so far, with this as a grantee, we have managed actually to grow our base within 2 years. Up to now, we have registered 1.5 million farmers. And the plan actually is to register about 6 million farmers. That is the plan. Apart from that, throughout this grant of 2 years, we have managed actually to build an in-house agile squad, agile team, which are helping us to develop different use cases using mobile platform. We have been using actually a lot of our internal platforms to accelerate the usage of mobile phone. I'll give an example, the service of overdraft. So if I can read the data here, we have about, in this year alone, we have about 120,000 farmers who have transacted total value of around 8 billion throughout this fund. We have group saving, farmers group saving. They've saved about 5,000 farmers have deposited about 1 billion into MCOBA, as well as Empower. They've deposited about 4 billion. Yeah, so we have multiple agribusinesses that we have been able to onboard, and now they're using our digital platform. So we've done a lot throughout this period of grantees.
Wow, very, very interesting numbers coming out of TZ. And looking at these numbers, probably just taking it back to you, what can be done, to accelerate your entry into the markets and, probably scale it much more? I know Vodacom is in Tanzania and, probably 5 other markets in Africa. Has that use case been explored by, other OPCOs?
Yeah, there's a lot that can be done, from regulatory to a lot more of awareness. So if I can speak from regulatory point of view, there's a need of partnership with government so that they can support the use of cashless, the meaning, the why we want to digitize, why we want cashless society, because even the farmers that are not, who are not banked, who cannot have collaterals, they need to start to use mobile money, and we can start to establish the credit history, and we can do credit scoring and give them different different services, digital agriculture, digital solutions. So there's a need, the pressure or the push to come from government. But apart from that, we also need to do a lot of awareness to our farmers, be it below the line, above the line, just to sensitize to them on the importance of using mobile money, because the culture is that they're used to save the money, seeing the physical cash. They feel comfortable because they see it, but they don't know that it is costly to them, it's not safe to them. So a lot of awareness need to be done. And of course, as Vodacom ourselves, we need to also invest in connectivity, so that to provide that infrastructure where we can still scale up these digital solutions. So yeah, there's that plan as well to invest more into rural connectivity.
Right, and thank you. In regard to, probably the play with mobile operators, and Diana, you've worked with mobile operators across Africa in terms of doing your integrations, both Africa and Asia, probably Americas. What has been some of your challenges, that you face in this line, and what can be done better by operators in terms of just fast-tracking the process for your integration?
Thank you. So, like you mentioned, across Africa, we've actually done a number of integrations, because I'll say at a minimum in every market where we're present, we need to have a mobile money integration, because 99 of our payments are through mobile money. So what do the MNOs need to do to improve this process? To begin with, I'd say it's not that easy run you do with the mobile money integrations. So Already, I would appreciate the mobile operators. They've made their APIs open, so there's these open APIs that whoever wants to integrate with them so that they can receive payments for the different products, they made that possible. So they just have to keep that up, but also make this the process a bit easier for people to consume this service. But also in terms of charges, I think that's where they really need to come in, because what have we done for mobile money? We've actually made all those clients that have not been active with mobile money, the fact that now they already have a solar system, they have clean cooking, they need to use mobile money to make a payment. So what I'll say, it's a win-win solution for both the mobile operators and say the solar companies. So they just have to make it easier. It's cutting down on the charges. And then what else did you ask about?
I think you've answered the question. Probably I go to really about inclusion, because you've worked in refugee setups, humanitarian setups. How has your experience been there? And in terms of any barriers to entry, barriers of usage of mobile financial services?
Yeah, I can say that we were very lucky since 2019, since we started the Refugee Finance Program. We have been working with GSMA Mobile for Humanitarian Innovation Program very closely, and we really started our project to trying to understand the market systems and the supply and demand side barriers to use of digital financial services in refugee settlements. So what we found for refugees on the demand side is really, one, in terms of all financial services, there's really a reluctance by financial service providers, financial institutions, to provide credit and other services to refugees, because they have this perception that refugees are transient, they're going to leave the country soon, and they won't be able to collect on their payments, or they don't have the right kind of ID that financial institutions are used to. On the demand side also, there's issues around digital financial literacy. There's really low digital literacy in these refugee settlements. And women in particular, they aren't able, a lot of women aren't able to do common transactions. And they also sometimes are not aware that refugees can have a mobile money account or can have more than one per household. So those are challenges to them. Another major challenge for refugees is just there's not that many agents there. There's very long distances to financial institutions and branches, and not many agents in the settlements. So they're not, so, so we already said there's not enough financial institutions willing to give financial services to refugees. At the same time, people can't access these DFS agent networks, so they can reach those financial institutions who are willing to loan to them. So on the supply side, I think the major issues are mobile network operators, financial institutions are not used to working with this market. They find it risky. They aren't, quite sure, and they're not willing to take that risk. They don't have the market information. We worked very closely with MTN on our refugee finance program, and we found that they had trouble recruiting or maintaining agents in refugee settlements, because even those refugees that start businesses aren't able to keep them up for a long period of time. So I think those are, some of the main barriers they face, as well as this kind of like risk aversion towards working with refugees.
So thanks a lot. Probably lastly to Diana around, the future with regard to pay as you go, because at the GSMA, nowadays they say pay as you go everything. Initially it was, while I was working there, it was pay as you go solar. It was all around utilities and energy. But we've seen mobile phones coming on board, and which, poses a possibility for women to also get empowered and included. So what are you seeing as the future?
Yes, so from my perspective, I would say PayG is everything. So the future is PayG. This has opened up the affordability for people to own products they didn't know they would own. So, like I already told you, at BBox, we started mainly, it was PayGo Energy, it was the solar products. We've scaled up to now clean cooking, basically pay as you cook. We've scaled up to smartphones, pay as you talk. So e-mobility, So the future is literally pay-go is everything, because it has opened up that it has like the affordability for everyone to like consume products or services they didn't know they could consume at a certain point.
Right, thanks a lot. In the keynote by His Excellency the President in the morning, he talked about meaningful skills. And Bini, you've worked with the communities that probably require those skills, which means that the exclusion has been largely around skill sets. What can be done? What can organizations like yourself be able to do to ensure that we've accelerated this process for skills acquisition?
I think there's probably a few different things that can be done, and I think that one of the first things that people need to know when they're trying to do this digital skills work is really try to understand what are the barriers to using digital financial services or using other kinds of digital tools, and address those barriers directly with your training. Don't try to guess what the barriers might be. When we did a needs assessment to understand what are the barriers to using DFS, we found out it was things like forgetting your PIN and not knowing how to reset your PIN, or just not being aware of the DFS products that are available on the different MNO platforms. So these are not, these are not necessarily what people would think to put into a digital skills training if they just tried to guess from their office in Washington, D.C. or Kampala or wherever. So that's one important thing. I think another important thing is to think about the tools and constraints of the people you're working with and the resources they have when you're doing these trainings. I think, a lot of people want to do like a video-based, beautiful digital literacy training for people out in communities that don't have smartphones. And so that's a challenge. Maybe think about doing an in-person training or rethink the types of training, programs that you're going to do. And I've seen a lot of great training programs from Grameen and a lot of other organizations that address those issues.
Right. I've listened to Yvonne, and what I'm hearing is that Vodacom has become a bank. You're into savings, you're into insurance, you are doing all these products within one license, which is a telco license. I don't know what your take would be around, the role that you're playing and, the role that banks play in terms of financial inclusion. Whether you think there's a catalytic value in terms of what you do, and what can be done better in terms of just tying up the relationship with the financial services industry.
So as Vodacom Tanzania, can you hear me? Okay, so as Vodacom Tanzania, we believe in a strategic partnership. So if it's a bank, if it's an insurance company, if it's an NGO, everyone has their area of expertise. So we call upon collaboration. We need to join hands, and no company, no one can crack all agriculture challenges alone. So no one should feel like competing actually with MNOs. So my key takeaway is that we need to collaborate and leverage on each other's strength. So as MNO, we are strong, of course, in terms of our footprint, in terms of our distribution channel, our freelancers, our network. That's the area of expertise. So when a bank comes in, and of course we need banks because they have license to give out loans. We need insurance companies, they have license to give out insurance solutions. And it's not easy actually to reach out to remote farmers using bank account or only the banks. Mobile phones, it's easy actually to reach majority of our farmers. I'll give an example for Tanzania. 70% of population is engaged in agriculture sector. So it's a good opportunity. We call upon people to come and we work together and reach out and serve that population in rural areas. So I think that is key.
Right, so we can have famous final words from the panelists, starting from you, Diana, so that we can be able to close the session. Are we still within time? Yeah. Famous final words on this subject.
Yeah, so in conclusion, I would say, just like I mentioned earlier, pay-go is everything, and the future is pay-go. The fact that we're bringing products that customers didn't expect to receive. So anyone in the, I would say, anyone giving out products, please do your best to make sure, yeah, they are pay-go, so that even anyone, the less privileged, the people in the low-income earners can afford those products. And the only way they can do that, from what I have seen, and it is proven already, is through pay. Yeah, thanks.
Bindi?
Okay, I think for my last words, I'll just talk about the impact of digital financial services on last mile populations, and I think nobody is more last mile than these refugees and these distant refugee settlements who are coming out of very devastating conflicts. And so we have seen that digital financial services enables people who aren't able to get financial services from traditional financial service providers that are closer to them to access loans. It enables people to access humanitarian cash transfers. The mobile money agents go out and deliver these digital humanitarian cash transfers. The agents that we work with help elderly, vulnerable, illiterate people to mediate and use digital financial services on their own. At the same time, we've seen that bringing in digital financial services provides livelihoods for refugees, especially women and youth, to become these DFS agents, and we've seen huge increases in income for these agents. We've seen huge increases in business investment, and we've seen such enthusiasm and motivation from the agents we work with, where they say, they started this mobile money business and they say that they're going to keep it for the next 20 years. All of them say that. So it can make a huge impact in these last mile communities.
Yvonne?
Thank you. So from my side, I would say investing in agriculture needs patience and flexibility. So whatever that you invest, you shouldn't think of return within 3 months or 6 months. There's a need of doing a lot of research, a lot of on-ground insights that you need to invest into, actually, before you get your return into investment. So whoever that is coming into this space needs to be a little bit patient. And the other thing that I would say is that in order to transform smallholder farmers from subsistence farming to commercial farming, we really need to integrate technology. We must integrate technology into agriculture sector. And doing that, it is capital intensive. We need banks to come in, we need donors to come in, and definitely if we invest, if we use technology, we're going to ensure there is food security, farmers' income will increase, there'll be resilience to climate change, because all this needs investment from different angles. And as Vodacom Tanzania, again, we believe in collaboration, and together we can. And I'd like to quote Adesina, who said, Africa's future billionaires and millionaires will make their money from agriculture. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, panelists. And, for me would be, I am currently working on a project that is focusing on blockchains for climate resilience. And one of the things that I observed there is the power of mobile money, because there are projects that are currently running, one in Kenya by a company called Kotani Pay, where people are doing work but getting paid in USD from the US. And how is that payment being settled? Is off-ramping on M-Pesa. So they get stable coins and are able to encash those stable coins using M-Pesa and get real value. So what does that tell us is that the future can only be greater, brighter for all of us. And imagining the future for me is about interoperability, because I'm in Rwanda right now. I've seen MTN, they have their mobile money. But with my M-Pesa, I cannot be able to cash my money from a Momo agent. So I think what industry should be working towards right now is that interoperability, where you have this cash, there are settlement systems that can be put in place for you to be able to get real-time value wherever and whenever you are. So thanks a lot for your time, and looking forward to continuing the discussions going forward. We want to invite any questions to the panelists, probably, from the audience. There is that opportunity. From me, it's a bit it's a bit bright. So probably, Army, if you've someone in the audience.
Great. Thank you very much. Quick question on providing sort of credit and other services to refugees. You mentioned that the MNOs are naturally cautious, but then you also mentioned that actually a lot of refugee businesses fail, which seems to sort of legitimize the caution. And I guess, in sort of my experience of these sorts of programs, money on its own, particularly for productive uses, isn't enough. It doesn't, generate wealth. You need technical assistance and other things. So do you have any sort of thoughts on what, is it MNOs who should be providing, finance, or is there some other mechanism by which there can be some sort of complementary technical assistance, mentoring that goes with the loans so that the refugees businesses are more successful and it de-risks the loans? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I see maybe I wasn't, it's clear that I wasn't very clear, so let me clarify. So what I was trying to say is that financial institutions, including banks, microfinance institutions, are hesitant, and mobile network operators are hesitant to give loans to refugees in the places that we work. And then on the other side, there aren't that many mobile money agents in the refugee settlements because there's challenges with the ones that have started up their businesses. Sometimes they've failed. And you're right, technical assistance is needed. So Grameen Foundation's intervention into those areas was specifically around bundling business skills management and training, gender support, linkages to finance and technical assistance to ensure that these mobile money agents in the settlements would be able to start and sustain successful businesses. And we did see that like I said, so within 6 months of starting their business, they saw a 48% increase in income, in their household income. So there was a big increase in income and there is stability in those businesses. But you're right that in these refugee settlements, it's often combining training and technical assistance along with finance that can ensure successful livelihoods.
Shan, and also what a bit is that one of the major challenges is about a credit profile. And what mobile money does is that it builds into that, and that can be used in terms of just getting a history, getting a rating for these populations to be able to access financial services. Because one of the other challenges is around identification documents. So you get a digital ID, and in the morning we were taught about One Digital Africa. So you get a digital ID and a platform that can be able to assist you in terms of just accessing those services. And that way, by extension, you de-risk financial institutions that are extending credit to you. Yeah.
Sorry, Michael, and just let me add one thing just to clarify. I don't want to give the wrong impression. So we have found, Grameen Foundation and our financial institution partners have been working with refugees, extending credit to refugees. There have been other financial institutions in Uganda doing the same thing, and generally what people find is that refugees pay at the same, they repay their loans at the same rate or better rates than regular Ugandan people. So they're good loan repayers.
Right, any further question?
Yes, I have a question. So we've had the amazing work each of you is doing. And my question is, what kind of mechanisms do you have that the feedback or the insights from the different areas actually feeds into policy and makes policy more agile and more resilient?
Can start with Yvonne.
Okay, so from our market, the biggest insight is to change actually the culture for me, majority of farmers are used to cash, and they don't know the importance of digital money or being paid via mobile money. So the moment actually they hear from government, so when farmers hear from government, they tend to trust more than when they hear from private sector, because they feel all you're looking for is to maximize profit. So I would say something that should be included into the policies is to encourage cashless society, and the fact that some even of our farmers do not own assets, it's better to be encouraged to be paid via mobile money. They will use that as credit to request for credit or to buy insurance. So it needs to be included into our policies. And I can say one of the gaps that I've seen is we do have policies, but they are not, technology is not part of it. And maybe some of the ministries are not in sync, I can say. So for example, I'll just give an example. If I deal with Ministry of Agriculture, there has to be a synchronization between Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of ICT and Ministry of the one who are dealing with national IDs. Because at the end of the day, if I need to register this farmer, they need to have, if I need to give a mobile SIM card, they need to have a national ID. Yes, we're in the process, we are doing that, but is the Ministry of Agriculture speed the same as the Ministry of ICT? Do they have the same goal? Are we heading on the same direction? So yes, policy should include technology bit as well as synchronization and coordination between these ministries. I can say pretty much that is the insight I have.
Right. You've done integrations at different countries in terms of policies. What would be your take?
So I think in terms of policies, okay, because most of the different governments we've been to, everyone is trying to go for, I mean, that cashless economy. How do you make payments possible? So, I mean, they've been very supportive, but then also in line with insights from what we have done with integrations with the products we've given to our customers is, so the main insight is understand your customers, understand what they want, and the data you get from your customers, use it to be innovative. So in the case that if you've given I'll give an example, if you've given a customer a solar system and they've been in position to pay for the 3 years that you stipulated in the contract, you're going to use this data to see which other product these customers will be in position to make payment for. Or rather, if you're putting billing methods and realize that your customer can afford a day, I mean, daily, weekly, monthly, put the different modules so that these customers can use your services at all cost. Yeah.
Thank you. Any further question?
Sorry, if I can add something, sorry. I just wanted to add something else in terms of the government levies and taxes. I think from our market, the government taxes and levies discourage digitization, because farmers do feel like, okay, they're not receiving enough, and when they receive mobile money, then they get deducted. So there's a need as well, policymakers to look at not to introduce some of the laws that will discourage digitization, rather to introduce things that will encourage digitization. And the other thing actually I wanted to speak about was maybe some of the taxes in digital tools, because even smartphone penetration in rural areas is still minimal. But if we look at the policies in terms of removing some of the taxes, it will encourage these digital devices to go into rural areas. Even device financing is another area that need to be included into policies. I don't know if it's the right place to be, but yeah, device financing as well. Because some of the farmers, cannot afford to buy phones in lump sum, but they are able to pay in a phases, or rather to be deducted in a small amount. So all that, if there are policies that can favor that. We also need financial institutions to come in, or donors to come in as guarantor to take that risk, which will encourage farmers to take different loans, if it's smart devices loans or digital loans. Yeah, so the donors as guarantors as well will help.
Right. Okay.
Thanks, Michael, for letting me add on. I just wanted to add something. I agree with everything that you said, Yvonne. So I just wanted to add that, there was a study by Response Innovation Lab in Uganda, I think several months ago or last year, where they asked refugees, what is your preferred form of receiving humanitarian cash transfers? And they asked, do you want it in cash? Do you want it from the bank? Do you want it from agency bankers? Or do you want mobile money? People overwhelmingly preferred mobile money. But one of the challenges they face is this mobile money e-levy, or this tax that is on mobile money. And so I think that if we're looking at financial inclusion and cash support for humanitarian situations, if the government could reduce those taxes, it would really, help them achieve those goals around refugee self-reliance. I'll add on one kind of like success of advocacy. We're not an advocacy organization, but we had a policy challenge in our program at one point, and we worked with GSMA and GSMA, UNCDF, and this kind of like coalition of public and private sector partners, and we all just wrote a letter to the Central Bank of Uganda and the e-payment system saying this policy is really preventing our financial inclusion goals, and GSMA really coordinated that, and it was successful in changing the policy. So I think that there's that kind of potential for public-private partnerships around advocacy.
Right. Maybe the very last question, then we close the session.
Thank you, ladies. There's one thing that I noted, is that the problems that all of you solve, they're actually found across Africa. I'm from Southern Africa. So I'd like to ask, what strides are you taking to have platforms that break the silos of operating in one country, but also allow smaller players to scale operations in other countries? Thank you.
To respond to that, I think that's where the GSMA Innovation Fund comes in, looking at different use cases. They can be able to support you in terms of scaling up. But beyond that is organizations like, I saw Mercy Corps Ventures earlier today, organizations like FSD Africa will work with you if it's within the core focus areas. Like for myself, I'm looking at climate resilience, I'm looking at capital markets development, I'm looking at the digital economy. Then we can be able to speak, and see what we can be able to do to support you. And yes, support is available. And having reached there, is to say that, your input, because government is sitting here, the GSMA is sitting here, and people that are within the regulatory, the innovation ecosystem is sitting here. It's for us to be able to work closely together to actualize these noble initiatives. So thanks a lot. For me is to appreciate my panel as I welcome Ashley to close the session. Thank you. A round of applause for my team.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Yvonne, Bindi, and Diana. It was really inspiring to hear about the different use cases that your organizations are unlocking through mobile money. We heard about accessibility to products like solar energy, clean cooking. We heard about the acceleration of agriculture, the acceleration of financial services through mobile money. We also heard about inclusion, which is great. Who are we doing all of this for? We're doing it for the last mile, smallholder farmers. We're doing it for refugees. We're doing it for the most vulnerable, women, youth, and ultimately, all of this is done through a number of enablers. It was great to hear the things that are helping you make all this happen. So we heard about mobile money integrations, APIs, partnerships and collaboration. We heard about the power of skills training, patience and investment, I quite liked that, and enabling policies and regulations, of course. So as we leave this room, I hope that you have all come away with something where you've thought of an idea or a partnership or a way to collaborate or accelerate using mobile money to do the work that you do in the African continent. Thank you for joining us. Before I wrap, I just want to say a big thank you to our donors for making this possible. So all of this work which GSMA is able to support is really backed by impressive funders. We have FCDO and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to thank for the contributions for today's panel. And finally, one announcement. I just want to encourage all of you to attend the Rwandan Cultural Evening tonight. So this dinner is being held out on the terrace near the Founding Partners booth. Feel free to ask anybody with a pass or a badge on if you can't find it. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thanks a lot too.